Oh, you're all very welcome. What about you? Hit the wee button if you so choose. Now, isn't it great? Isn't it great to watch the Tories implode? I don't know what the rest of you is, but I broke out the popcorn when I heard Rishi Sunak was having a cabinet reshuffle. Now, having finally discovered he has a set of balls, Rishi sacked Suella Braverman. But instead of continuing with the cleaning of house, he once again bottled it by digging in the political graveyard and resurrecting none other than David Cameron as Foreign Secretary. You'll remember David, I hope. He was the worst PM in history. The man who put party before country by calling a referendum in a vain attempt to settle Tory infighting over Europe. And having lost that vote, he buggered off to sunnier climes and left others to deal with the fallout. A fallout, incidentally, which led to the Northern Ireland Protocol and our present political difficulties with no functioning assembly. Cheers, David. Appreciate that. But who is David Cameron? Well, if you read the tabloids, the British tabloids, you're told he's a stable and confident pair of hands, a man of character and gravitas. Just the sort of chap who'll help stabilise the ship. Really? Really? Having been born with a diamond spoon in his mouth, David, like most of his class, was privately educated before just going straight into Oxford. There, he didn't bother studying. Instead, he spent most of his time joining exclusive drinking clubs, such as the Piers Gaveston Society. In an authorised biography of Cameron by former deputy chairman of the Conservative Party, Lord Ashcroft, it was alleged that part of his initiation into that society involved the young David placing his flaccid penis into the mouth of a dead pig. I feel for the pig. Ashcroft admittedly was no fan of Cameron's, describing him as being lazy, unreliable, and a posh, I can't read that word, right? Bad word. Not content with one club of delinquents, David, along with other mates, Boris Johnson and George Osborne, joined the famous Bullington Club. There, his activities involved getting drunk, standing in restaurant tables, screaming, "Fuck the plebs," and burning £50 notes in the faces of the homeless. Basically being vandals and thugs in £3,000 tailcoats. The brilliant James O'Brien, on his radio show, if you're not tune into that, he recently laid out Cameron's then pathetic attempts to get a real job on leaving Oxford. He tried journalism like his friend Boris by applying to do a graduate traineeship in the Times newspaper. Turned down. He then tried to get into the City of London, a bank or a brokerage. Turned down. He then went for a consultancy firm job in McKinsey, and he was interviewed by, wait for it, William Hague. Turned down. Finally, some family member or friend begged and got him a start in the Conservative Research Department. But David always had his eyes on the prize. He always was going to go into politics. And he knew that to stand for as an MP, even in a safe Tory seat, it would look better if he had worked a job that wasn't for the Tories. So what do you do? Well, you do what all these boys of rich families do. You ask your man-in-law to put a word in for you. And that's what she did. His mother-in-law rang the boss of Carlton Communication, Michael Green, and said, I say, Michael, good chap. Could you possibly see your way to maybe giving a little job to my son-in-law, please? Lovely chap. He's a lovely chap, Michael. Could you, Michael? I'd appreciate it, Michael. Michael said yes. And Cameron had his one and only ever job as Director of Communications at that company. Once elected, Cameron proved that cream isn't the only thing which rises to the top, and all too soon he was PM. During his disastrous premiership, he enacted a savage austerity programme, allowing the poor to get poorer while his friends and the rich 1% got rich beyond belief. He managed to lose the Brexit vote and was gone. But luckily for David, he landed on his feet. For a while as PM, he'd become friendly with Lex Greensill of the Greensill Company, financial company, even so far as giving old Lex an office in 10 Downing Street. So when David was on his uppers, he went and worked for Lex. Oh, his title was lobbying. And let's give him some credit. He done some lobbying. It's estimated that David earned $10 million lobbying for Greensill. And his lobbying involved sending Tory ministers and officials, 62 messages in the forms of emails, phone calls and texts, begging for Greensill to be allowed to access the government's new coronavirus loan support scheme. Now, thankfully, Greensill wasn't allowed in, and his company collapsed only a year later, owing billions to investors, without Lex still remaining under criminal investigation in Switzerland. Once again, David Squahee. This is the character of the man who's just been handed one of the most important offices in British government, namely the Foreign Office, at a time when Europe is at war with Russia and the Middle East is on the verge of imploding. Everybody knew about this. One of the greatest parliamentarians of recent times, the beast of balls over, the scourge of Tories and black rods, Dennis Skinner. Well, he had the measure of Cameron way back in 2016, and he called him out for what he was and got thrown out of the Commons for telling the truth. So it's only fair to end this piece with Dennis telling ye how it is. Take it away, Dennis. Go on, son. Davey, Lord Davey. Withdraw.
I know what you're talking about.
Very simple. Withdraw.
This man has done more to divide this nation than anybody else. He's looked after his own pocket. I still refer to him as Dodgy Dave. Do what you like.
That's all, folks.